Hello, I'm Robert Aid, Seattle real estate broker and condominium specialist, and coming to you with today's video right here from downtown Seattle, where I operate my business. And I'm not only a specialist in condos, but I also live in a downtown condominium. And I really take pride in knowing the market, knowing the buildings, and being able to put some helpful videos together to help people out navigate this market. So what I'm here today to do in this video is to share an experience with you of a recent client's condominium purchase. And it's a little bit of a buyer beware and some of the things that you go through in a condo purchase and some of the information that you can get from the condominium resale certificate. Now, one thing that I want a lot of buyers to understand, and a lot of my clients come from purchasing a house, they're downsizing or looking for a vacation property, whatever, and they're looking to buy a downtown condo, and they don't really realize how different it is to purchase a condo versus a house. These condominiums are mega million-dollar properties. They're large, complicated structures with hundreds of different owners oftentimes, each with their own personalities and agendas. So there's really a lot to consider here. Now, there's always something going on below the surface with these condominiums. And so by sharing this recent example with you, I think I can give you some insight into what, some examples of some of these things. Now, to set the stage for you, the condominium that my client recently purchased, it's in one of the premier downtown Seattle condo properties, a newer era building that's very well thought of, in the downtown Seattle market. So knowing all this, what could possibly be wrong, right? Well, I want to start by, showing you the condominium resale certificate. It kind of gives you an example of how complicated these buildings are. Now, this document, for this particular building ended up being 799 pages long, which is pretty typical for a downtown condominium building, And some of the things that can be covered in this, I've got the list right here on this particular one. Assessments, like current assessments, anticipated future assessments, lawsuits, delinquencies, which can be delinquencies charged against your condo or maybe your fellow condo owners that haven't paid their bills and you might end up being responsible for it. Code violations, there's going to be a reserve study, articles of incorporation, bylaws, a declaration, amendments to the condominium rules and regulations, management agreement, audit, operating budget, monthly financials, meeting minutes for both the monthly and annual homeowners association, and the insurance certificate. So if you've never seen one of these documents before, they're so massive, there's so much information in there, you're not going to know where to start, you're not going to know what to look for red flags. You're going to want somebody on your team that's seen a lot of these documents before that can really help you get to the bottom of all this before you make this huge investment. Having seen hundreds of these myself, I help my client go through this resale certificate, and I just want to share with you some of the things that we did find in there. So first thing that really caught our eye was that the building was in the middle of a $3 million roof repair. Now, it turns out that there were some substantial leaks into various parts of the building. A lot of damage was actually done to the penthouse units at the top of the building. So what I really needed to size up for my client was, where are they at with these roof repairs and the billing process for it? You don't want to buy into a condominium and inherit your share of this $3 million bill unknowingly. You got to know what you're getting into. Second of all, our offer on the building had $20,000 in earnest money. Now, the way earnest money works, if you don't close the transaction in the amount of time that's that you've promised, the seller has the right to keep your earnest money. So, and lenders do not loan on buildings with leaky roofs. So we needed to find out the status of this and to what degree was my client's earnest money at risk here, because we don't want to be giving away any money. So number two, we found out that the building was in the midst of 2 lawsuits. Now, it's not common for these downtown condominiums to be in lawsuits. And so what we needed to find out is the building a plaintiff? Are they defendant? What are these lawsuits about? And how much money is on the line? Because, as we all know, this condominium purchase is going to close in 30, 40 days. Lawsuits drag out for years sometimes. So however this lawsuit is resolved is going to happen, after my client has purchased. And so we need to determine as best possible what kind of financial risk are we buying into here. So that's another issue that we got to the bottom of. A third and very significant issue, which was really unique to this building, was that a tunnel is being dug underneath the building. Now, at this time, Seattle is having its Alaska Way viaduct removed, and a highway is being built underneath the city. It's called the Deep Bore Project, and it turns out that tunnel is going to go directly underneath this building. Now, we've all heard of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. What we needed to make sure of was that this condominium is not going to become the Leaning Condominium Tower of Seattle if there's any settling due to this tunnel under the building. So what we did was we acquired a study from an independent geoengineering firm. They actually had placed sensors in the ground and done a very thorough study to evaluate settling and whether the proper steps had been taken to make sure that no settling was going to occur that would put this building at risk. And we went through that and looked at it very closely to make sure that we knew what my client was getting into. The fourth thing that we looked at very closely on this building was the reserve study. Now, make sure when you purchase a condominium that an independent company has done a reserve study of that condo. And what this does, the reserve study companies, they will look at every component of a condominium building. The elevators, the roof, the carpeting, the paint, everything, and figure out what is the lifespan and how much should the condominium should be saving up every month to have enough funds on hand to pay for these repairs when they come due. The independent reserve study firm determined that this condominium had enough funds on hand to pay for 72% of anticipated future reserve funds needed to pay for repairs. Now, I remember years ago when I first started looking at these reports and I saw, reserves funded around 70%, I was thinking, well, gosh, shouldn't it be 100%? This doesn't sound good, 70%. But having looked at so many of these over the years, I now realize that, 60, 70, 80%, that's actually pretty good. It's pretty rare to see a building up around 90 or 100%. It just doesn't really happen. What you really want to be careful about, and they're out there, is the buildings that are only funded to 30 or 40%. Those particular buildings are at a very high risk of a special assessment coming in future years. So I wanted to make sure my client wasn't stepping on this problem as well. One thing I like to emphasize with my clients when they're buying is that, when you're purchasing these downtown condos, there's lots of excitement. There's this shiny, glamorous new building, all its wonderful amenities, the downtown lifestyle. It's a very exciting time. But you've got to keep in mind, you're also buying into all of the problems that these buildings may have. And so, you're buying into your share of the $3 million roof repair. You're buying into your share of whatever happens with these 2 lawsuits. You're buying into your share of, the costs if this building settles due to a tunnel being dug underneath it. You're buying into your share of, if the building doesn't have enough reserves on hand to pay for future repairs and they need to do an assessment or raise homeowners' dues to raise the reserves. So you get your share of the good and the bad, and you need to have somebody on your team that's seen these issues before and that can look into the situation and really give you a good feeling for what you're buying into. And this is something I enjoy doing for my clients. So I'm glad you joined me on this video today. If you found this helpful, please click like or add some comments in the comment section. Love to hear some of your questions and enjoy answering those. So thank you for joining me today, and have a good day.